order. That's all right. This meeting is held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act 10:4-6 at C. Annual notice having been forwarded to the New Jersey Herald and the New Jersey Sunday Herald and posted on the bulletin board maintained in the municipal building for public announcement. Will you please rise and join me with salute to the flag?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Von Giovanni?
Here.
Mr. Shirella?
Here.
Mr. Delarina?
Here.
Mr. Gaffin? Ms. Crock?
Here.
Mr. Kusevich?
Here.
Mr. Rossi?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Wagner? Mayor Galati? Here. Councilman Smith? Chairman Wright?
We have a quorum. Okay. Motion is in order to approve the minutes of the April 16, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Von Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Shirella?
Yes.
Mr. Delarina?
Yes.
Ms. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Galati? Yes. Chairman Wright?
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is resolutions. We have, how many we have? 4 of them. Okay, the first resolution is Randall Venegas, 650 Lakeside Boulevard. The hearing date was March 19th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Mr. Von Giovanni?
Abstain.
Mr. Shirella?
Yes.
Mr. Delarina?
Yes.
Ms. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Galati? Yes. Chairman Wright?
Yes. All right, second resolution is Brian Goldman, 105 Maxim Drive, and the hearing date was April 2nd, 2024. I have a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Mr. Von Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Shirella?
Yes.
Mr. Delarina?
Yes.
Ms. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Galati? Yes. Chairman Wright?
Yes. Okay, third resolution is Jeff Michalski, 486 River Styx Road. And the application, the hearing date was April 2nd, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
Mr. Von Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Shirella?
Yes.
Mr. Delarina?
Yes.
Ms. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Galati? Abstain. Chairman Wright?
Yes. Okay, the last resolution is Robert Scabetti, 52 West River Styx Road. The hearing date was April 2nd, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
You would only call the members who voted for that.
Yes. Mr. Von Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Shirella?
Yes.
Mr. Delarina?
Yes.
Ms. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is bills. Mott McDonald, Dolan and Dolan, and Shank Price in the New Jersey Herald. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Mr. Von Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Shirella?
Yes.
Mr. Delarina?
Yes.
Ms. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Galati? Yes. Chairman Wright?
Yes. Okay, escrow refunds, we have none?
Correct.
Okay, correspondence, do we have any correspondence?
Do you want to do the vote correspondence?
This,
Speak about it? Yes.
I think we'll wait on that. I mean, that's something we're gonna,
You want to?
You may want to.
we'll read it and we'll talk about it next meeting.
That's fine.
So,
Thank
okay.
you.
Zoning officer report. Nothing, perfect. Discussion, any discussion? Old business, do we have any old business to discuss? No. Seeing none, new business. Okay, continued applications, we have no continued applications. We have 3 new applications. The first application is, I'm sorry if I don't get this right, Bujar Judo for 54 West River Styx Road.
Yes.
Somebody?
Evening, members of the board. Daniel L. McCarthy III, legal counsel for Pujar Judo and his wife Mina. Mr. Judo's with us tonight. We have our contractor, we have our architect, we have our engineer. Very briefly, we're going to have the contractor explained how they applied for permits, started the job, ran into nightmarish trouble, had to stop, required variances to fix things. The architect's gonna explain what the fix is, and the engineer lastly is going to respond to Mr. Rushke's letter and any questions or comments that the board may have. So with that, if I can get started.
You want to swear anybody in now, Bill? You want to wait? Anybody, whoever's gonna give testimony now?
So we have Adrian Colombi, who is the contractor. We have Ali Corshi, who is the architect, and we have Owen Dykstra, who is the engineer.
Yeah, just want to testify, please. The testimony has to do with truth, the whole truth, and nothing but.
Step over here.
File the statute.
So, Mr. Colombi, are you a contractor?
Yeah, I'm the contractor who applied for the permits. I supposed to do his job, to do the renovation of the house in 54 Hospital.
So what was the renovation to entail?
The renovation was to keep a couple of walls and then the whole new, had to be a new structure.
So what's this?
Then we proceed based on the blueprints were approved from the town. And we left a couple of walls up, based as the blueprints say. And then we start the excavation for the addition on the front of the house.
Okay,
When we start excavating, those walls just fall down.
okay,
And then-
were the walls covered with sheet rock before you started?
Yes, sir. Everything was covered with shit.
So you had no idea what was
We had
behind
no
the walls?
idea what's behind the walls.
So the walls fell down?
Walls fell down.
So what did you do next?
Then was Saturday, town was closed and we called the architect.
Okay.
Architect came Saturday, inspect and say, you gotta call the town, and we have to do new foundation because it looks unsafe.
So did you call the building inspector?
Monday,
Okay,
me and Michael came with the owner.
Okay.
And one of the inspectors, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name.
was it Bill
Came there.
O'Connor?
Yeah, I think it was Bill.
Okay,
Came there and he seen the walls fall down. He said, you guys gotta remove those, from here for safety and clean the area.
okay,
And you gotta go front of the board.
okay,
I say we can save these walls to put them back on. He say no, because the foundation looked like wasn't safe, and the architect then drew something new.
Okay.
And those were 16 blocks, and they say this foundation are gonna hold the structure.
okay, so then you passed the football to the architect, correct?
Then I was out of the, move the machines, move everything. We
time
just
out.
cleaned the area, then we just
So
waiting for,
you're in timeout at the moment, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have for this gentleman.
Can
Any
you just
questions?
spell your name?
Adrian, Adrian,
Your last name?
Columbi, Pellum, like in Mary, B-I.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions for the gentleman?
No.
Okay, I think then with that, we'll have our architect, Mr. Ali Corshi, testify. So, Mr. Corshi, you heard Mr. Colombi's testimony, correct?
Yes.
So at some point, your firm was asked to find a fix, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe what the fix is?
Well, we were going to renovate the existing house and we were going to put an addition in front of the house. That was the whole plan. We submitted the drawings and the drawings were approved because of the pre-existing non-conforming conditions. But when the contractor found out that the foundation is deficient and really not adequate to hold the structure, he took some part of the foundation out, and then we determined that this foundation is no good. And also proximity to the lake will make it even more susceptible to failure. So we designed new footings and foundation wall, which can hold this building. And but the thing is now they have to replace almost the whole structure. So that's why we are exposed. Otherwise, if the foundations were good, then we didn't really have to come and set up, because we had the approved drawings for the structure. So whatever we're gonna build is, we're gonna build the new foundation and then put exactly the same approved building on top of it, with the same footprint same volume, same height, everything same as it was approved. But because we have to replace the foundations, now essentially it will be a new structure.
So Billy, nothing there triggers any variances, correct? I mean, everything, it's other than him finding out that the foundation was not sufficient.
Correct, in the sense that when the house was going to basically remain there.
Yeah.
The addition did not trigger any new
Okay.
variances, so it was something that I could
So-
approve.
So you're basically building the same exact house in the same footprint, okay?
To the inch.
I mean, it's good the foundation is still there, so they can, I mean, a surveyor will be able to pin that, put it right back where it has to be, so.
Yes, and we have the survey, which we're gonna follow,
Good.
and we have a site engineer who will testify.
Because it's treated as new construction, the house came down, then they do need the variance for minimum side yard setback. So whether they put the house back on the identical inch by inch space or not, they still need that variance because it's treated as a blank slate.
I'm just looking at, John Nuszky's report and number 3, the first item says rear yard setback, 20 feet required, 0 feet existing. I don't know, that might be.
That was probably for the dock.
No, I
dock
mean, he's got
decks.
more, this is I mean, he owns all the way back to here, so it's not, so do you think that?
It was probably for the dock
Okay.
deck scenario,
Okay.
the dock, because the dock stops at the water line, and then the deck, if the deck continues, I suspect that's probably.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? That's pretty much it, right?
So we're gonna stick to the same house, same footprint, same.
You're not adding any square footage other than those 2 little additions that were already approved, correct?
Yes.
Yes, one thing is, it's kind of parallel to the one that we had a couple weeks ago. They've rebuilt the dock on this property, and, of course, they did definitely use the underpinnings. The point is, if they rebuilt it exactly the same size, it is something that I'm gonna be able to approve under the zoning. If it expanded at all, they would require the appropriate variances for the dock.
Did you make the dock any bigger than it originally was?
No.
I guess our contractor, Mr. Bouger, I don't know if you were sworn in or our engineer or contractor, you can speak to Mr. Ray's question.
Yes, sir.
The dock is the same exact size it was.
Yes, sir.
Would you just put the wood on the deck?
Oh, yeah, they just replaced the
Okay.
planks and stuff.
Okay.
And the guy who do the deck, those docks is from this area,
Okay,
so he was very familiar with the.
okay.
It was the neighbor that didn't know that he needed permits.
Yeah, I told the 52 gentleman that his,
Okay,
They're identical, they're like twins, they've been cloned.
all right, so I don't see, I mean, he testified that there's no expansion in demand, so we can move on from that point, so.
Okay, Lester's,
So your last name, Qureshi, Qureshi.
Any board members have any questions for the architect? Move forward, right?
I think my only concern is the management of the property. I mean, anybody can walk in there. You guys left the fireplace there in place. That's like anybody can throw a stick on, and that hasn't been taken care of. There's a lot of debris, garbage all over the place. There's no construction fence. I mean,
There should be some
some kind of,
Can I,
yeah.
for the chimney, we asked you to give us a couple more days because we weren't over here, so this, and you gave us a new date, so that'll be down coming week.
As a contractor, I would think you do that right away because
Yeah,
it's a
that-
safety
but
issue.
like I'm saying, we just came back yesterday and we asked for permission, so if you guys can extend that date. I think we had an approval, so
Trying to say.
that,
I mean,
that's
the
gonna be done this week for sure.
The only thing I
For-
see
for-
with the chimney is if it falls down, it's falling inside.
Inside the
foundation.
house,
Well, it's
yeah,
not big
that
enough
one
for
is
it
right in
to-
the middle of the house, it's
Yeah.
not like
But
on
then
the
there's
side
a
of the
big
house.
double
But
window
that'll be
that's
done,
broken.
that'll be
Yeah.
done,
Glass
100%.
is all over the place. I
You-
mean, the management of the property is pretty,
That,
But-
I promise, that one is done as we promised.
no, I'll just get him after you.
No, I did send the notice that we had discussed, and the answer was they were going to be returning to the country, I believe, and back from vacation anyway, so they asked for few more days, so I would say yes.
Okay. Okay, no, we have no further questions of the architect.
Okay, then I'm prepared to move on to Mr. Dykstra.
Bring them up.
Owen Dykstra.
Dykstra, have you had a chance to read over Mr. Rushke's letter
I have.
of February 2024?
Yes.
I believe there are some engineering specific comments in there that perhaps you might address.
Or I can run through them by number if that's easier, or I can.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Number one, Mr. Rushke was requesting a grading plan, and we'll provide that.
Okay,
There's going to be some grading up front in front of the house between the new foundation and the front of the property. And they had removed some walls in order to get the machinery in there, so.
Okay.
The second one was the soil erosion control plan. We will provide a soil erosion control plan. Number three, the survey depicts the sanitary sewer easement surrounding the house. I did look at where that was located relative to the foundation. We're outside of the easement with it, so it shouldn't be a problem, but we'll obviously have to manage through that during construction. Number four was the permit by rules. I believe we'll qualify for both those permit by rules. So we'll just provide the documentation for that. The reference survey will be provided as well. There's a question with regard to construction details. The retaining walls that are physically there, I don't know if that was what John was referring to, or if he's talking about new ones, because we weren't involved in designing the walls that are out there. They did have permits, so I assume they were submitted and went through the process.
okay. Well, did they have permits for that though? For those walls? All the Keystone walls coming up?
Yes, they
Okay.
had, they had zoning approval for all that.
Okay.
And more that is to come.
All right,
Okay,
perfect.
so we'll provide the construction details for the pavers and the driveway, and what have you. Number seven, the existing well and sewer clean out should be clearly depicted on the site plan. We'll take care of that and verify the location of them. There's a recommendation here that the depth of groundwater be confirmed. We'll take a look at that during excavation of the footings. I don't anticipate it based on what I see out there. It's a walkout basement and the footings are pretty much at basement level. There's no water issue there currently. 10 is the soil erosion measures. We'll obviously install them as well. And 11 is any work within the municipal right of way has to be coordinated with the borough engineer or construction office, and we'll do that as well. The parking area
Okay,
does impact the right of way.
so you'll comply with everything in Mr. Rushke's letter?
That's correct.
Okay.
Would you comment on number 9?
No, I skipped that one, sorry. That's a 3,000 PSI concrete. 300 is a typo. Put 3,000 on the plan.
Any questions for the engineer?
I don't think it's pretty good.
300 something. 3,000 is a little.
Yeah, they'll use 45.
Should be 3,500.
Was 4,000 PSI.
Well, that'll be for the building inspector. He'll recommend. All right, no further questions of the engineer.
Okay, so I think that concludes our presentation, and with that, we would submit for that
Okay.
request approval.
Okay, at this time, I'll open this application to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this application? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board and wait for a motion.
Make a motion to approve it. I'll second.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrera?
Yes.
Mr. Dellarina?
Yes.
Ms. Croft?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Galati?
Yes.
Chairman Ray?
Yes.
We'd also like a waiver of memorialization if we can.
Make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Shirilla?
Yes.
Mr. Dellarina?
Yes.
Ms. Croft?
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Galati?
Yes.
Chairman Ray?
Yes. So that's how you can start cleaning it up tomorrow? Dan, is that- Okay.
Not me, I won't be there. I'll be in
Thank you very
spirit.
much. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, next application is George Leon, block 40909, lot 32, 18 Larson Trail. Mr. Leon here.
Hi, just here to translate, yeah.
Okay.
Here are the features for the property.
You swear that you will faithfully translate the testimony that's going to be presented, right? And your name is,
Jacqueline Romero,
say that again?
Jackeline Romero, ROM as in Mary, ERO. And these are the features of the property. I don't know if I had to give it to all of you.
You're showing us a photograph,
Oh,
And-
yeah,
and so this has already been partially constructed.
yes.
Okay, I see. So we'll mark that as A1 for today's date.
No, I don't know.
I think, wait a minute, I think you have to give them to Bill.
Oh,
She has some
all right, that's-
pictures that she'll.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, I'll keep one here, I'll mark it as A1, today's date. And we'll just hand these out, if you would, so everybody has one, so you can see.
All partial.
Yeah, that's right.
You ask them what it is that they'd like to do.
¿Qué le gustaría hacer en la propiedad?
Pues nosotros lo estamos arreglando, hicimos explotar y se hace es agradable para ver.
They bought this property in September, back in September. When they bought the house, it didn't have a closet. So they thought because it is kind of like hanging and not expanding through the floor, they thought it was okay to open a little more so they can have a little closet in the room since the room is super small. But they were just kind of trying to fit. They didn't think they have to ask for anything.
I have to say, it's the smallest addition I've ever
I've
seen
ever
come to the
seen.
board.
I know, it's just like
No, I
a
mean,
tiny
it's
floor,
really
yeah.
kind of-
It is
I mean,
tiny.
Two by 8, I mean, that's the,
Well, like
I
a
mean, but
shoe
why
closet.
they, without the foundation, it just goes the structure itself?
It's still a
Okay.
cantilever.
Yeah.
Closest part.
I mean, the picture does really explain what's going on here, so.
Have you looked at it, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I mean.
Construction wise?
No. See, they can't do that.
Yes.
I mean, they do need to do that, but they can't do that.
Until they get, yeah,
If the board approves it, then it'll be subject to instruction approval, we'll go out and take a
When
look at
they-
it, make sure it's okay.
I'm sorry, can I say something? When they finally realized that maybe they couldn't do it themselves, they tried to bring someone to do it, but then they didn't get for,
okay,
they didn't apply for them.
okay.
So they wanna have like permit to
Okay.
do it.
I mean, I really, I mean, it's very simple. I don't really have any questions of the applicant. I mean, it's, does anyone else have a question? I mean, it's a,
My only concern is, I mean, backhoe is in the driveway, if you look at the pictures, so what's to come? But I think that as far as the construction inside of your house, like the headers, I mean, I'm sure the construction will take care of that. But, you know, structural drawings and, you know, load bearings. I see the property, I went to the house to look at it.
Okay,
You know, there's a duct dryer that I saw hanging from the bottom. Is that being vented somewhere to the floor somewhere or?
no, hay algo que está haciendo como, you mean like a.
It's a duct dryer that I see from underneath this.
Es algo que ellos ven como si fuera una ventila que está pasando por debajo. Hay algo que está pasando por debajo.
Oh, no, it's
La secadora.
the
Oh,
laundry.
the dryer.
The
Yeah.
dryer,
so you'll, that's gonna come out underneath the.
Eso va a estar debajo del.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Does any other members of the board have a question, any questions for this applicant?
Any concerns with the technical review statements or?
Anything to,
We're asking about the cement and the pavement.
I mean, basically, the 2-foot addition is cantilevered off of the house, so there's no foundation, there's no, you know.
The tie into the roof was one of the things that John brought up on that.
Well, I mean, all that's gonna have to be done through construction. Bill O'Connor will have to, they're gonna have to make him happy, so.
Yeah, right now it's not tied into the
No.
roof. I think I just put it
Yeah.
against that.
So Bill O'Connor will, you know, kind of steer you in the right direction of what the drawings that you're gonna have to provide, how you're gonna tie the structure into the house.
Ellos les están diciendo que tienen que amarrarse la estructura con la casa, no puede ser solo así colgando, pero que ellos le tienen que decir como los parámetros y las cosas que tienen que hacer para hacerlos felices a ellos como lo quieran.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions?
I just have one question. John Rushkey comments that the applicant provides testimony that there's no additional work being performed.
Okay. Is there any other work being performed? I mean, other than
No.
that addition?
No están haciendo ningún tipo de adición, ¿sí? No,
No.
solamente eso.
Only
That's it?
There is an as-built that John required, though, the survey be updated to
Okay.
reflect this addition.
So when they're all done with the addition, they're gonna have to have their survey updated to depict that addition on the survey.
Does it mean that they have to pay for a full survey?
I mean, if you have the survey that you had got when you bought the house, I'm sure that the survey will update it for a minimal charge.
Ah, ok, got
You know?
it. Lo único que le piden es que cuando acaben vuelvan a hacer como el survey en la forma que debe ser, mostrando ya las nuevas estructuras. Por ya tener el survey que lo sacaron ahora, solamente le cobran menos por un poco menos que lo que vale un survey nuevo, vale hacerlo solo como una.
Okay?
Okay.
I'm sorry, there was one more thing that they were telling me. They want to know if they can waive the
We're not there yet.
memorization.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
I just don't want to
Yeah, yeah.
forget it, I'm sorry, I don't know. That worries hard for me to say,
All
I'll
right.
be late studying.
Yes. So no more questions of the applicant. I'll open this application to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this application? Seeing none, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the board. What?
Can I comment?
Sure.
My name's Lorraine Dunlap. I'm their neighbor.
Okay.
And I encourage this addition. I think it'll be nice for their house to make it a little bit bigger for them. And they've done a wonderful job with the yard and I totally support them and what they want to do.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
Any other public on this application?
I think she should have got a bigger closet.
Listen, I'm coming here, I'm coming for everything, and I'm not coming for 2x8 closet. That's all right, so, okay, bring it back to the board, and I'll wait for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Delarina,
Yes.
Ms. Rock,
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati,
Yes.
Chairman Ray.
yes,
Now you can-
now you gotta
Now
ask.
you-
Oh, okay, now, they want to ask for waiving a
Memorialization, all right,
memorization.
I'll make the motion.
Yes.
I'll second it.
okay,
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Delarina,
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati,
Yes.
Chairman Ray.
yes. Okay, we're good to go.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Yeah,
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night. God bless you.
Okay, next application is Theodore Hyder, block 50207, lot 13, 12 Caribou Trail.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah,
And your full name, sir?
it is Theodore Hayter.
And you're the property owner.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
The cows needed milk.
Why did everybody look at Bonnie Ray?
It came with this one. So, okay, Mr. Hyder, tell us what you'd like to do.
Well, existing house, the left-hand side of the view from the street, the foundation is below grade in the rear of the house and also on that side wall, which allowed water to totally rot the sill plate and the adjoining joists. So the only solution I have to rectify that would be to raise the foundation above grade and then reconstruct that portion of the house. For that amount of expense, I opted to propose adding a second floor in order to provide two reasonably sized bedrooms rather than the 3 8x10s that are in there now.
So it's gonna be a 2-bedroom or it's still gonna maintain?
It's gonna be a 2-bedroom.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I took a look at it. It's, you're right. I mean, when they built that house, it's below. It's. below
Yeah, the
grade, you know.
foundation's on piers with block and fill and trying to. That's like. Not
So-
practical.
So you're basically removing the pink part of the house, correct?
That's right.
Okay, the rest is staying?
The rest is staying and then, well, actually the chimney and the block fireplace is also gonna go.
Okay. That's inside the.
That's inside the right-hand side of the house.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see, I mean, you're staying within the same footprint, right?
Yeah, no, the footprint's unchanged.
Yeah, just going up. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward and cut and dry. Any members of the board have a question for Mr. Hyder?
No. Just don't paint the pink.
That's going.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know, a long time ago, remember all the rocks up in the thing were all pink? Whoever used to live there painted all them rocks on the hill pink, and I mean, it was really, so. But
Just
anyway,
having Barbie,
what's that? Go ahead.
the site plan review that John Rushkey did, he talks about a landscaping plan proposed. We should be asking about the landscaping structure.
Oh, in front yard, you're talking, or,
Yes.
yeah, I documented there are 4 decorative bushes and 2 small trees that will have to go in order to do the demolition.
Okay.
And then we're just gonna replace them in kind.
Perfect, so you'll comply with Mr. Rushkey's letter?
Yeah, I did respond to it, actually.
Okay. No further questions of the applicant. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this application? Okay, seeing no one from the public, I'll bring it back to the board. Wait for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Pangiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Sherlock,
Yes.
Mr. Delarina,
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Kukovic,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati,
Yes.
Chairman Ray.
Yes. You're good to go.
Okay.
Good luck. Thank you. That concludes our new applications. We have one resolution extension, Cleaver Mello de Jesus, 116 Wellesley Trail. Good. Do you swear him in?
Yes, please raise your right hand. Swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
And your name, please.
Kleber Melo de Jesus.
You're gonna have to help me with that.
KLETERMELOTE Jesus. JESUS.
Are you the property owner? Are you the owner of the property?
Yes.
And you're coming to the board tonight to ask for an extension of an approval, and the approval was granted in the application in the matter of J. Vonti Wolfong, and that was approved August 3rd, 2021, and memorialized September 7th, 2021. Is there, did you purchase the property from?
Yes, when I bought this property, it was approved, but I didn't have money to start the building.
Basically, what the board looks at is if there's been any changes in the zoning ordinance that would have affected the board's decision or changes in the property. I suppose if somebody brought fill in or something and the lot is different, we've got issues with stormwater or something like that that we wouldn't have had before, the board might consider that. But this is not an opportunity for a rehearing. We don't do that, and we don't really second guess the board members' decision in the approval. So really the function of the board is to look at this and say, has there been any changes that would have affected our decision or the prior board's decision on that?
So there's no, you're not changing anything from the
No,
prior?
the same plan.
Same,
Yeah,
everything.
we didn't change nothing.
Okay.
Did anything change on the property though, as far
Well,
as?
that's anything, as I say, it's something on the property, if you excavated or filled it or did something that would have affected
Water runoff?
water runoff or something like that,
Something
then the
like that.
board can look at that to try to have some protective measures, but if there have been no changes, then
I mean, it's just a simple extension, more or less. I mean, there's nothing, this is a fairly recent one. I mean, we get them sometimes that are, you know, 10 years old.
I do know we have some people who'd like to speak about this, though, out in the audience prior to our vote.
Well, I mean, I don't know how we handle it. Bill. Do we have to open that
No, we can
resolution
open- We can open it
extension?
to the public if someone
Okay.
has a comment in terms of how a lot has changed or something has changed. But
Yes.
it's not, as I say, it's not a rehearing and no one appealed the approval. So if there's someone here who, especially someone here who participated the last time, it's not another shot because there was no appeal filed.
Okay, so I'll open this resolution extension to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this resolution extension?
I do.
Step forward.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Patricia McHenry, and I wasn't here at the time of the prior resolution because I moved in a year ago.
Okay.
I live in the house next door to the property in question at 120 Wellesley Trail. And I have several concerns regarding the property and the development of that property. Some of it is new condition based on the wonderful, we appreciate, Mayor, very much the paving of our roads. However, the paving has resulted in more water runoff going into our yards and flooding the street by Purdue, by the wetlands there. The wetlands across the street from my house are much wetter. And I get flooding into my driveway and my sidewalk in the front of the house. Additionally, I have some pictures here. Unfortunately, we ran out of ink on the printer because this wasn't like a professional effort. This is just showing what it is. But you will see that the lot in question with regard to water now fills up pretty significantly. I've noticed it as deep as 4 feet. There's a pink.
I think we did refer to it in the resolution. We noted the topography and it is effectively a bowl.
Yes.
So I don't think that there's going to be any runoff from this lot. It's a receiving lot and not a producing lot, I guess you'd
Yeah.
say.
So the water doesn't, your property basically sends the water to this lot, correct?
Well, basically it does, but however, despite my efforts in moving in and spending $3,000 on topsoil and sod to make my yard look nice and to absorb some of the water, I have major puddles that develop, even though I've done the work to try to, fix the yard and fix the problem. I have 3 dogs that have to run through these giant puddles in the yard. And because of the rock formations in the yard, I cannot put enough soil to actually change the grade because then I'll affect my own basement. But it's not just the runoff from my property. Every surrounding house, my house is actually higher elevation. The yard is of higher elevation significantly than the bowl. However, the problem with that is that my yard is almost never dry unless we have a heat wave. Once that hole is filled in, where is all the water going to go that normally collects there? It's going to go into the neighbors' yards, into the street, into the protected area across the street, which is the wetlands. The pitch of the newly paved road is already sending more water into those areas that previously flooded. It's not just rain, it's the snow melt. It turns into, an ice. In addition to the concerns with regard to the water runoff, I also am concerned about the additional contact with the wildlife in the area because I have observed families of bear crossing through that lot because there's no other place for them to go from the wetlands. They come across and go in through that lot. I've seen owls in the trees that will have no more tree there. I've seen, the deer, the fox. I mean, it's like a highway. I have an 8-foot fence because of the woman that lived there before me had big dogs. So the bear can't get into my yard. But I'm wondering, once we fill this lot with a home, we have water runoff, we have the concern about the animals and the traffic of where the animals are gonna go. If there's nesting owls that are protected, they have no place to go. Last year, I believe I saw an eagle in the tree. I'm not an animal expert, but it looked like an eagle up in there. we're eliminating more and more of our green space. Every single one of the resolutions that I heard you guys discuss with regard to fixing houses ensured that there was nothing built out. You're saying, you're not gonna take up any more space, you're not gonna eliminate any more space, and here we're talking about putting a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom house on a property where we have old wells. Where's the septic gonna go? Is it gonna affect my neighbor Larry on the other side, whose house is much lower than the property we're talking about? He built his own little rock wall to try to keep the water out. Is the water gonna go to his well? Is the septic gonna be on my side, which then my well is on that side? Larry's already determined that the well can't, the septic can't be within 1,000 feet of his well, which puts it within 1,000 feet of my well. And our houses are old. They're not, these items aren't, wells and stuff like that. They're not built the same way then that they are now to protect you from, like septic rinse and leach fields and stuff like that. And if I'm personally, if there was a beautiful house there, it would maybe make my house more valuable. But if all this water goes nowhere, and we all know that you can't stop water. I don't care how many, my neighbor's sump pump, who's on Main, but his house is right next door to mine. His sump pump goes every day, even when there's no rain, because of the underground water. If you go in our yards, it's wet to walk through, even when there's no rain for a couple of days. And that's a significant, as you can see in the pictures, it's a significant amount of water that fills in there. I watched this pink rubber ball that's in there float around. Whenever it rains, it goes from one side and all the way to the other. I think the deepest I've seen it to be is about 4 feet deep, which is pretty significant amount of water collecting that now is gonna have to go someplace else. Excuse me. I just want to make sure I hit my last points. I do want to say thank you for the DPW, because they have been responding to every flood call, every puddling in every area that has been created by the paving of the road, which again, we appreciate. The potholes were horrible, but now the water's worse. And if we're putting another house there, we're talking about more water. We're talking about less space for the animals, and we're talking about more green space in the Hopatcong Hills being destroyed. We're already watching that whole hill where the old houses up on the hill on Tufts, I believe. They're knocking down as many trees as they can to build whatever they're building. All of that runoff is going to come down the hill to our area. It's already affecting that part of the stream that runs on Vassar, because now Vassar floods when it rains. So, how many things can we squeeze into such a small area, especially with most of the structures having been built a long, long time ago? They're not designed to withstand the kind of pressure that is added to the structures by eliminating more and more land. And I feel badly to be asking that this property not be developed, but I'm also concerned based on the conversation about money. What if we destroy all the trees and knock down all the wildlife, and then Mr. Mello runs out of money again? In addition to the fact that I also am understanding that he's aggressively trying to sell the property. So is he going to build on it? And this is a neighbor that we're going to know through these processes? Or is he just getting these plans approved because it's better to sell a land with approved property? I've seen several people go by that property, builders that are building in other areas of Hopatcong, such as a gentleman that's building on Durbin, who looked at that property and said, it's going to be at least $200,000 just to fill in the hole and make it buildable with regard to the amount of water that's in there. So even if we don't care about the wildlife and the green space, we have to care about the neighbors. And if 6 or 7 houses are going to deal with the water from this one lot, what happens to us then when we already deal with too much water in that area? It is very, very much wetlands. That's why you guys spray out there all the time, because of the mosquitoes. And obviously anybody that lives up there, there's a ton of wildlife that will be affected the more we eliminate green space. And we're doing it hand over fist on a hill that really, how much more can it support? So thank you. And I apologize to the landowner for having my concerns, but I bought the house I'm on disability from 9/11. As a veteran, I can't afford to upgrade my property more than my budget allows because of something else that somebody else does. So thank you very much for your time. The last name is spelled MCENIRY. That's a capital E. My father would kill me if I didn't say that. But if you need any other pictures or better pictures, because we did run out of ink, I am happy to send them to you. We have them on phones and whatnot. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the work you guys do.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Is there anyone else that would like to talk on this resolution extension?
I would. How you doing?
Good.
I'm Lawrence Riker. Previously, I spoke online last time about this issue with the previous owner. And we had a discussion about the water, which I gave you a picture of that back then. That. But water is a big issue on this property that I'm concerned with, because if they backfill this and fill this up, do I have a guarantee it's not gonna come over to me on my property? I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know that. But that's a big problem. And also the septic, where's the location that's gonna be? Because I don't want it up by my driveway, because my well, as she had previously said about wells, mine's an old and unfarmed in, and that the sleeve's 46 feet. And the law's 50 feet, so you have to stay 1,000 feet away. That's what I was told.
It's not 1,000 feet, it's not 100 feet. It's 100, or it could go down to 50 if you have 50 feet of casing in the ground, steel pipe.
Yeah, 46 in my case.
So they have to add 4 more feet in distance.
Oh,
So
okay,
instead of
so
being
what would
50
that be?
Well, I mean, those plans were all, this was pretty heavily engineered. I do remember this
I'm looking
application.
at the resolution,
The
and Mr.
previous,
Riker spoke at the last hearing, and he expressed concern about water runoff and the size of the home. And it was recommended that he provide information concerning as well to the Sussex County Health Department. The Sussex County Health Department has jurisdiction in reviewing septics and separation of septics from wells. And we really don't have that
Yeah.
jurisdiction, so that's where that communication should go.
They have to comply with every setback. I mean, health-wise, they can't be too close to your well or her well, and they have to provide the adequate distance
okay,
through the county. So they can't just say, I'm gonna put it here.
so
Right.
somebody will be
Oh,
watching over
absolutely,
this?
absolutely.
Yeah.
This application was real, with this was quite a few go-arounds with it. It was pretty heavily engineered. you
Well,
know?
I see he's trying to sell it online, a property for $55,000, so I don't think he's gonna be keeping this for himself
Yeah.
at all. I think he's gonna,
The approval stays with the property, and it's not specific to an owner, so once it's approved, it's approved. and that's-
yeah, well, the previous owner sold it off. I noticed that real quick, but.
See, but they can't, this new development, he cannot discharge any of his water onto
Okay.
anybody else's property.
Okay,
So, I mean, that was all pretty, the borough engineer reviewed it all. I mean, there's some dry wells that are gonna go in there to handle the runoff from the gutters and everything else.
There is
So-
plans already in place.
Oh, this was all
It was
done,
all
this is done.
approved. It was heavily,
like I said.
Heavily
heavily discussed. This one was a
Yeah.
long application. This was heavily.
Also, like, my neighbor said about the animals going through there, running through there too, that's an issue too, because that's all food for them.
Listen, we all love animals, but
I mean, you take the oak trees down.
I don't think there's
squirrels
anything we
gonna
can do about
so,
the animals,
Well, I thank you for your time.
So, okay, thank you.
What was your
Appreciate it.
address? What was your address?
Riker, R-I-K-E-R.
What number, what number?
Address.
112 Wellesley Trail.
Not supposed to say it's address.
I have a quick question. I live
Sure,
at
come on.
109 Wellesley.
Come on up.
I've been there since 2016 and I never was notified of the original plans of this. So I'm wondering what's the difference between now with the extension and back then with the original that I was not notified then, but I'm being notified now?
Well, you may have gotten the certified letter that you never picked up.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I
Well, we
work
have
from
to check.
home, like,
Okay, the applicant provides proof that the certified letters were mailed.
ooh, how can I get proof of that?
Well, we have
Probably
that.
still-
Oh,
we probably
okay.
still have it.
Okay, cool. So how do I request that?
You can come in tomorrow and fill in a request and I can get that for you.
Beautiful, thank you.
Of course,
Appreciate it.
of course.
I mean,
I can I just reiterate something with regard to, I mean, I know you said we all love animals, but I mean, to me, that seems in a way, dismissive of the fact that we actually have endangered species of owls that live in our neighborhood, that we have endangered, we have the fox, we have, it's not just like, oh, the animals don't matter. I mean, these things have to be considered. Also, like if you're cutting off their one pathway through the neighborhood that they go from one area to the other, now you're forcing bear to go into other, like you're forcing these animals to have more contact with people. The more we eliminate their habitat, the bobcats and the bear are the dangerous ones. I mean, the endangered ones are like the frogs and the snakes that are in there. I mean, it just seems to me to say that the animals don't matter either is I understand this was heavily, based on what you're saying, engineered and everything else, but it wasn't discussed with at least 2 of the neighbors within 200 feet that live there now. I don't know if the old person came. I know that she had an issue with trees falling on her car and stuff that were never taken care of properly, which shows like not a good neighbor attitude. And then we just exacerbated. I mean, I put the animals last only because I think that we do have to always consider people in our decisions first, as sad as it may be. But at the same time, we can't dismiss what we're doing to the community. I mean, I moved into this area because of the woods and the rural nature of it and how pretty it looks. Keep throwing up houses everywhere and you're gonna have people, but you're ruining the reason that we come here. It's like, okay, let's fill in the lake. The fish don't matter. It seems like kind of a dismissive kind of a comment in reference to valid concerns. And, from what I understand, the guys that were building up on the hill had to ensure that there were no endangered wildlife. From what the kid was saying to me when I was talking to him, he had to make sure that there were no endangered species and stuff like that would be affected by the build. Like it's just more than just we like animals, but there's nothing we can do. I would hope that that's the attitude that the town would have, is that the animals do matter. Maybe not as much as the people, but they're certainly part of our community.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I mean, like I said, I was here for this application. I don't know if anybody else was here, but this went round and round for quite a bit, and it was heavily engineered, and John Rushke's office approved it and went through the whole thing, so they cannot discharge any stormwater onto any adjacent property. So whatever they do there is gonna have to make the condition better than it was. This was all approved, this was done, septic permit, this was ready to, they're just asking for an extension of a previous approval, that's all they're doing.
I'm sorry, does the paving of the road indicate a change of condition that's creating more water to run off into the area?
Well, that's not the applicant's.
Mr. Rushke will monitor the construction and and he'll verify that it was
And where does
constructed in accordance with the plans.
Where does the water go if there's no sewer? Like, where does it go if it's already soaked ground and wetlands in the area? Where, just for my own edification, my yard stays wet. Where's additional water gonna go once that land is built up?
He would have.
Well, they have to put dry wells. I mean, if you would have went to the construction office, they probably could have provided you with the approved drawings and the engineering drawings and everything that was already approved. So you could look at it.
I don't even understand my septic drawings, but if you guys want to know anything about bodyguard work or, like my old stuff at MSG, I'd be happy to help you before I was forced to retire. I got you on that, but I could go over there now and look at it. And that's what I was saying. I don't understand where water's gonna go because water always wins.
Well, we have to.
And I don't want to have to dig a septic tank or French drains in my house because somebody builds a house next door.
He cannot send one drop of his water to you or anybody else. So he has to contain that storm water on his property. So Well, I
We
mean,
just
it
gotta
was,
figure it out.
yeah, they have to figure it out. It was all done, it was all
That's,
engineered. This- listen,
that's
this
what they
people-
pay the engineers
Yeah.
for. is
Well, I
figure it out.
understand that.
Yeah,
but,
so
I
it's
mean,
not
like,
us,
how do you
we-
know when the house is finished being built? How do you know if you're getting extra water or not? Like, you know, like if you're flooded, you're flooded.
Well, there's an
You're getting
engineer, there's
flooded as it
engineers
is.
that sign and seal these documents that say that this is what it's gonna be. You know,
I
it's-
invite any of you guys to come over there on like Tuesday afternoon after it rains for 2 days and see what that looks like and tell me that if it's not already soaking into the ground, what our well's gonna do when the ground is saturated already. That's confusing to me. It's like saying if I fill a cup up and put a hole in the bottom of it, but the hole is already on a wet paper towel, where's the water gonna go? It's either gonna spread out or it's gonna stay in the cup.
We also have to trust the engineers.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is,
All right.
this is an
Well,
extension of a
Obviously,
previous
it's a done deal,
approval.
so I
There's not,
almost
there's
wish
not a
I
lot
had
of
come.
discretion that the board
Yeah,
has. There's not a lot, we heard this application in full, in length,
Yes, yes.
and there's not a lot of discretion that we have, really don't.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
On the last page, it's John Rushke's report, and it does list a bunch of things. Are those required to be done when the structure is being built? Because it looks like there's a lot of things that, if they were done, might have answered some of the questions or the concerns
Yeah,
that weren't done, but all of these will still need to be met by the new.
you'll have to, nothing changes. The whole, whatever's in that resolution, they have to comply with. Nothing changes.
His technical review report still has to be followed, that doesn't. negate
Everything.
that.
No, it's just, it's interesting that in the report that the applicant's environmental conclusion that came from PK Environmental, it does say that there's no wetlands and the property doesn't have water on it.
Yeah.
Which, that's just my,
I mean, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but there's wetlands and then there's rainwater, you know what I'm saying? It's not, it's not a steady.
There's, the transition area as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So it might not be actual mapped wetlands per NJDEP, but it may fall within the transition area, which could be wet from all this additional rain we have been getting. So like the only real way to actually tell would be going through NJDEP, getting a delineation, getting the certification that there are no wetlands present on the property.
Yeah, but I think they went through that, Bill. I mean, it was pretty, they, you know, they had a environmental engineer do a thing, I believe, and, you know, they did a lot of engineering on that property, really, I mean. So.
To me, that looks like there's a lot of water.
there's just,
there
looks like
all
there's
the
a lot
time.
of water in
no,
this.
I- listen, I'm not-
Maybe-
Those are recent, like within
Is
the
it-
I'm
last
not-
few months.
Is the engineer that approves it somebody that's hired by the landowner
No,
and builder,
no,
or is it
no.
independent?
He works for the borough,
He works
Okay.
for the borough.
so he's looking out for you.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
Ask him to come back now that the road is paved and see if it's
Yeah.
still not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just granting an extension of a previously approved resolution. That's all. Do I have a motion to?
What's the timeframe that he's looking for to extension?
Well, I think they go, what, 2 years, Bill?
They go 2 years.
It's a 2-year extension.
2 years?
So. So, there we are. Do I have a motion to approve this extension?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Have a second.
A second.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Trillo,
Sustain.
Mr. Dellarina,
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Kusevich,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati,
No.
Chairman Ray.
Yes. Okay. Okay, now at this time, the meeting is open to the public. After giving any person present an opportunity to address the land use board, is there anybody here from the public that would like to address the land use board?
You're good. You're
I'm good?
Yes, yes,
You're
yes.
good.
You.
In Delamo, 27 Point Pleasant Road, Kong. I was in front of the board, got approved on September 5th, 2023 for my two-story boathouse to be reconstructed. A pool addition on my house. I have come pretty far with the boathouse. I'm getting ready to wrap it all up. Mr. Donegan, we have a little difference of opinion in what the definition of a living quarters is. It's not an argument, it's just I feel that I want to put a sink in there. And I understand his opinion. He says it could be construed as living quarters. I don't see it that way. So all I want to do is put a sink in for a wet bar
In the boathouse.
in the boathouse. There's already,
Sink, no bathroom, no toilet?
there's already an approved bathroom. There was always a bathroom in there.
I mean, there's a sink. I mean, I think you would need a sink with a toilet.
No, no, excuse me. I want to put, I have one with the, in the bathroom.
Okay.
I want to put a wet bar in. I want to be able to wash my hands.
Okay.
And get out off the boat. My house is 400 feet up a hill. It's off the top.
Okay, was your testimony that it was not gonna be living quarters in that boathouse?
That's correct.
So it's not living quarter. I mean, you're saying that
I
it's
don't
not.
think that necessarily converts it to living quarters. Obviously, you can't sleep there.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
It's not gonna be heated,
Yeah, so you're just
right?
asking for a sink. I mean,
Just
Bill,
asking-
what's the thing up here?
Basically, there was the site plan showed the architecture, so it showed no sink.
Okay.
And of course, with boat houses, I'm very sensitive. I know.
Yeah.
So that's why. We're talking about the sink. You were mentioning a grill. Is that still something in the offing?
I will have a grill down on the dock, yeah.
No, but I mean, you wanted to put a grill in up there as well. If
On the
unless it
dock.
was No, I thought you wanted.
On the
to put it
deck,
that-
on the front deck.
Up in the room where the. in
No,
the
it's
room-
not in the room where it
You
is.
don't, that's.
No,
But then that was a misunderstanding of mine. We
no.
were discussing that.
There's no stove, there's no oven, there's no, it's
Just. the-
just,
just the
I want to put a wet bar where you
Oh,
can
wet.
clean some utensils, where you can
Yeah,
wash your
I get it.
hands.
I mean, listen, there's no, I mean, and your sworn testimony was that you're not gonna use it for living space. You're not gonna, nobody's sleeping there, nobody's living there. You're just using it for your own personal.
Just connected to
Yeah.
your septic system or
It's sewer
the
there.
sewer.
It's sewer there.
Don't go into the lake.
I don't.
I'm
I don't-
connected to the sewer.
Yeah. I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, does any, I mean, is this just an informal, just to kind of give you a little direction, Bill?
Yeah, exactly. If the board.
I mean, it's just a
Traditionally,
sink
if
that's
the board's
not,
not having any issues with it, I'll take the lead. I'll take that.
When was it approved?
just last year.
September 5th, 2023.
It's down next to the yacht club, down on, I mean,
I haven't seen the
it's quite a
application, so
nice,
I
I mean,
haven't.
you're, you know, it looks good. You're doing a nice job there,
Thank you.
you know,
Okay, thank you.
so. I mean, anybody else have a question? I mean, it's a pretty.
I guess as long as no cooking facilities, it's not gonna be like a kitchen, it's just.
No, he just said, I mean, I guess there was a.
No, there is gonna be a barbecue grill there, but
On the deck, but you're not making,
outside.
you're not making a kitchen. of it.
I'm not making a kitchen.
Small wet bar.
No.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, all right, so you're, guess Bill,
Just to say, okay. no
He was
problem.
just being precautious.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just come in and ask for everything, so
absolutely,
I thank you.
all right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Was that, I think we're gonna, this thing here, I think we're gonna, we wanna read it, you wanna go over it now? Okay.
I just wanted to just have a discussion, since this is what you asked for. Do you have a copy of that? Yeah, the dock ordinance.
I think everybody.
So this is a copy of the draft ordinance for the dock ordinance. We were here talking at the last meeting about the possibility of putting something together. You had mentioned that Jefferson and Mount Arlington already had one, and I went and got both of those ordinances, and then I gave this to John Urson, the municipal attorney, and this is his draft version, which is pretty much identical to Jefferson and Mount Arlington's. So as a courtesy, I just brought it back here because this is the direction that it came from, just for you to see what the finished product was, that's all.
Okay, and Bill O'Connor and everybody looked at it, and they made any adjustments that they wanted? and whatever?
Yeah, Bill Donegan was very comfortable with the ordinance. Bill O'Connor, one of the things he did do was he changed the fee schedule from $40 to $80. That was his only recommendation.
That's good for us.
Yeah.
So I would take this, if you think this is okay, I would take this back to council to put on the agenda to at least introduce so that we could get it moving before the summer really got going.
One concern I have is, you can see on the permit required, it includes repair and the words repair and renovate. You know, it depends on who, the repair could be on replacing a board that is bad, you know, and I'm certainly thinking that that's not something that you would want to have reviewed or renovate, so it's tough, we're assuming that there's a reasonable exercise of discretion there, that every repair. that
So
we
what do you
doesn't
think that-
require-
That is the
what should
same.
we
If you're
put in
gonna
there?
change a couple of boards, I don't see why you should need to go for.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I think if you're gonna change more than 20% of it,
Yeah.
then I think, yes, I agree.
Then it becomes a.
But I think if
a
you're changing just a
reconstruction.
couple of boards because they're rotten,
Yeah.
I don't see a need for.
Yeah, I think that's a reconstruction. Beyond that.
I mean, maybe we can set it up where if you're just redecking
Right.
the top deck without doing any other same size thing, I mean, I think that should be a pretty simple.
That's what we've done all,
You know,
anyway,
yeah.
that's the way we've
Yeah,
done it.
okay.
So
Yeah.
for example, when there's a drawdown and someone's fixing their bulkhead and having the cement, repaired, that falls underneath here? You'd have to get a
And
permit
the
for
way,
that?
the way we've always, well, actually, I don't think this would fall into a bulkhead.
It says it though,
Oh, does
bulkhead.
it? No, all right. Because
Docks, piers, and
eventually,
bulkheads.
I mean, if the way we've always handled it is if you're fixing some cracks, fixing some holes, it's a repair and you need nothing. If you're gonna remove that bulkhead and rebuild and replace it, then you're gonna need a
There
permit.
could be several cracks on the bulkhead and then you just kind of
the
repair the
cracks.
entire bulkhead. That'll be
But you're
permitted
fixing,
then.
you're fixing the cracks, but what I'm saying is, I mean, the other scenario is that, it's so bad that you can't just fix the cracks, you're gonna remove that, because the issue here too is, of course, it'd be very simple to just reform and pour another 8 inches of concrete in front of what you've got right now to fix that. But I don't think the state's gonna be too happy about that. I think what's gonna happen here is that more than likely, you're gonna take the old one out and replace it, so
Yeah,
you're
well,
not
that's
changing the displacement of the lake. I believe, so, but if you're just repairing some holes and then taking some rocks and putting them back up in there, that's a repair and it's never, ever been considered a need.
This uses the word enlargement, so if you were expanding it out of the lake, that you'd need a permit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And just keeping in mind, this is something that 2 other municipalities on the lake have already done. This is something that's been discussed at the Lake Hopatcong Commission before, and Roxbury will also be doing. something like that.
I have a question on this, under definitions, we talk about a marina. And that's anything with 5 boats or more, right? And if you're counting jet skis, I think we probably have a lot of homes. So how does that affect this?
Right now, this is a topic that's getting becoming more and more sensitive.
Yeah.
As time is going on, and I believe the ordinance is more than 4, actually, so the fifth
Fifth one makes
yes,
it a marina, right?
is technically marina, and the way the definition reads, whether it's a private home or a commercial scenario, it's still that scenario. Look, our dock ordinance does already indicate, when I'm doing the review, it asks, does this dock or this dock expansion, is it capable of housing docking more than 4 boats, permanently docking more than 4 boats? Quite frankly, that's kind of a loose cannon because, then I'd look at it and say, okay, well, yeah, 1 here, 1 there, but maybe not across the front. And you know what I mean? It's kind of, I think with the interest that keeps growing and the concern that keeps growing, it is something I think the board may want to entertain and the council entertain, putting a finer point on it, which is kind of a shame because sometimes you leave things alone and it's not necessarily a big problem, but I suspect that we keep coming back to this and we're going to need that answer that question. And exactly, do I count a jet ski? Of course, do I count a kayak? Do I count a canoe? Do I count a sunfish?
Right.
What
constitutes a boat?
Right.
So I think, I was just talking to the mayor, we're gonna look at some, to try to put this thing to bed, what I'm saying? We just keep kicking the can down the road.
Well, I think we need to address
Exclude the
that.
Beach clubs kind of a thing, because obviously by their function, they're
Yes.
going to provide space for
Yeah.
boats, but,
So yeah, we're
I think
gonna look at a few things and, when it gets to that point, we'll
I think we need to address that marina point, because I
Yes.
think it's gonna become a bigger
Oh, it
problem.
always, it just keeps popping up, you know, so.
The other thing too is whether the boats are actually owned by the homeowner,
Yeah.
right, versus somebody just.
That's
you-
come up before.
Right, so where somebody is allowing multiple boats to store at their place for a fee, that's not real good.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're gonna have to work on it. We're gonna have to get it resolved because we just keep pushing it down the road, you know?
People all
so-
want larger docks
Yeah.
and, water area improvements and.
Oh, we'll work on that.
Yeah, if a 10-foot kayak, that's a lot different than a.
Yeah, than a
pontoon
20
boat.
footer, sure.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have watercraft and or a boat there.
So,
And this also gives a little bit of control back to construction for building and zoning, because right now there is nothing that Bill O'Connor can really say about docks. So it's another way of being able to protect the community and people who are gonna be purchasing these homes 50 and 100 years from now. Because the ones right now don't have to have approvals. There's no control.
okay. I don't know if we close it to the public. Anybody else from the public want to comment?
Yep.
Yep, right.
You'll have to excuse me because it's the first time I've ever been to one of these. My name is Joanne Kearney. I live at 304 Hudson Avenue in Hopatcong. My concern right now is the land next door to me. I've lived here for 50 years. It's been vacant. The gentleman recently passed, so his family tried to sell it, which they did. This gentleman tells me he wants to put a house there. There's a lot of water there, a lot of rocks. And my concern is if he starts, I don't know if they blast anymore. I mean, what is that going to do to my foundation, to my well, which is in the front of the house? I don't know where his septic is gonna go because it's all mountain and rock. So I'm basically concerned. I did check with the county and he has not even applied for any permits yet.
Okay.
He told me it's with his engineer and the architect. He also told me he wants to build a house on stilts. So yeah.
Do you know how big the lot is, by chance?
I know it goes back almost, I think 150 to 200 feet.
Might be conforming.
Is it the same, is it the same size as yours, Joanne?
No.
Or no, it's
Although I
bigger,
think we're under.
Small,
smaller?
smaller.
I mean, there's probably a reason why the house was never built there, you know, so, I mean, he's gonna have to do a lot of
Engineering.
engineering and homework to
Well,
make
they
it.
have to come to the board.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's a narrow lot, you know.
Yeah, if it doesn't meet the requirements, he has to come here and you'll have plenty of opportunity to question.
Because he's out there cutting trees down on his own. He cut down 3 trees already. And one tree actually fell on my house, not that one that he cut, but during the storm, one fell on my house. I mean, I don't want to create problems for this gentleman, but I want to protect my land. And also, my husband and I built 40 years ago, a brick wall around our property. Well, when they came and did the survey, I guess my wall is like maybe 2 to 3 feet on his property, which over the years, we've maintained that piece of property. You know, we've cleaned it, maintained it, we planted grass. I mean, not all the way, but you know, to make it nice. And I've also dug ditches myself so that the water would drain, that it would go into the drain thing. So that's my main concern. I'm just, I want to keep on top of it.
Sure.
Because I really don't want a neighbor.
Nobody does, but you know.
I think you've got a room full of that.
Yeah, exactly. But any development that goes on next door to you, they cannot put any water, none of their water can go to your property. They have to take care of all of that.
Because
So,
the water that comes off the mountain,
yes,
every time they remove a tree, it's more on my land.
yeah.
So down the side of my house, I do have water, you know?
And you're saying that water was never there before?
No, not the way it is now. No, there's always been water from the mountain. I have all French drains around my property to try to maintain all the water. But it just seems like the water is now more on my property.
Since he cut the trees
No, been before that.
before then.
Yeah, I would say the past year or so, the water has just
Anything
rerouted.
that goes on there, he's gonna have to come here, because I don't think that lot's conforming. I
I
mean,
think it's 80 feet.
yeah, so he's gonna have to come here and you'll get a notice of anything that's gonna happen. So if he does formally come here for an application, you'll get a notice and you can certainly come here and you know, all your concerns will have to be addressed.
Yeah, because all my neighbors are concerned because, you know, I mean, when the water comes down my property, it goes into the drain and then it goes across the street to my neighbor, which they have a swamp down there.
Anybody within 200 feet will get notice, and you can notify people beyond that if
Okay,
they're concerned.
yeah. Well, they told me to come tonight and
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
gonna follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. So nothing's gonna happen
Yeah,
with,
they
you know,
might have, he might
without
have
you
to
knowing
send
about
an
it, for
action
sure.
order out. We don't have any more.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, thank you.
He could send an action.
Anybody else from the public have a comment?
Mayor Modes, being that we brought up the docks again, when the condos were built by the River Styx Bridge, they put in for 12 boat spaces, they got 9. They also never provided any proof that they were allowed to park there. As a matter of fact, their engineer said the county said they couldn't park on the side there, the easement. They blocked the easement off, which it was under prescriptive easement to the lake. Nothing was ever, they were allowed to put up a fence and block it off. When the public uses the land for a certain amount of time, and it doesn't matter who uses it, it's all added together, you can't cut the access off. But he was allowed to cut the access off. And I didn't really come here for that, but since you brought it up, I figured I'd throw all of that out there because it's not, right now, it's not exactly, in my estimation, applied evenly. And secondly, I wanted to bring up dog poop, which I also brought up at the municipal meeting. People are picking up after their dogs, but they're throwing their bags either on people's property or bringing it up, going up people's driveways and putting it in their garbage cans. So I think it's become a problem because I've talked to several people, including the lady who just talked. And she's had it done to her too, where they walked up her driveway and put it in their trash can. So I think the fence should be taken down. I don't think it should have ever been allowed to be put up. And that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public have a comment? Seeing none, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the board. Judy,
Motion to adjourn.
we're adjourned. Thank you.